Andrea, welcome to Made in Africa podcast Umphakathi. You know, we call it podcast Umphakathi. Umphakathi, it's a Zulu name. It means it's for the community.
That's very good.
So now you're inviting to our community. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much for inviting me to your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you please provide us with an overview of your mission and the values for Technovation?
Technovation is a great opportunity for all the adult users of nicotine, but also for the society at large. Because this is the forum where we communicate and we want to leapfrog the information which is truly revolutionary in the nicotine industry, in the nicotine sector, and that is driven by the innovation, science, and advancement of technologies which have been happening there for the last 15-20 years, which are bringing to consumers a way how to consume nicotine in a much better way.
So you've been around for about 14 to 15 years?
I've been around for many years now, and actually I've been around at the beginning of 21st century. I used to work in the area of regulatory, and I was a part of the period when European Union in the years 2012 to 2014 was preparing a legislation where actually the category for these products, which are significantly better for the consumption of nicotine, were firstly created. These are the products where there is no fire, where there is no burning, it's just nicotine.
Oh, it's just nicotine. So what are the policies, principles? I heard you speaking at the conference. Maybe you can tell our own community, what are the principles?
So it's very important to realize that as it is a consumption of nicotine, which is still addictive, we really support the existence of the regulation. At the same time, when we look at the so-called risk continuum, we know that these products deliver on average 95% less harmful and potentially harmful chemicals. So they are significantly better. So while we advocate for them to be regulated in terms of production, in terms of packaging, in terms of engagement with the adult user of nicotine, etc., we at the same time say that as they are significantly better, the regulation, including fiscality, needs to be so-called differentiated so that the consumer is getting the information about benefits of switching out of cigarettes, which burn with the fire, into these products, if of course she would otherwise continue smoking.
So how are you going to overcome the temptations from those who are not smoking at all?
It is a very important element for us, and we have no compromises there. We really are very clear and rock solid that our products are only for adult smokers who would otherwise continue smoking. If you don't smoke, don't start, and not to mention the minors or the youth. We definitely don't want to go, and we are not going into those territories. And we have practices in terms of communication, in terms of access, in terms of really setting the rules to whom we offer our products. And the question, how do we want to overcome, is not so much a question looking into the future, because we have behind us already 10 years of practice and evidence how we have been doing that around the globe, starting with Japan, Europe, and in some countries of America, and even in some countries of Africa, where we know these products are available. And it was actually government agencies who went and they did the research about the attractiveness and the use of these products by minors. And the numbers which came out of their studies and of their research are below 2%. So we know that our approach, our policies and regulations which we self-impose, together with the regulations which are introduced by the governments, the result, when we take the facts, are really below 2%. So that is very important for us.
What distinguishes your product from other competitors, your uniqueness?
The uniqueness of our product is we were the first to bring the smoke-free products into the market. And another thing is our again, I would reach out to evidence. When we were in the 20th century, we created the most successful cigarette brand, which was Marlboro. Now we are leaving the world of cigarette, and it's our commitment to bring the best products for adult users in the 21st century. We have several platforms. We have several ways how to offer the nicotine in a better format to adult smoker. So it's our commitment to offer something relevant to every adult smoker, just to get out of the world of burning and fire. And I think once you have the commitment, you have the attitude, and then the products will just follow.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Kabiam.
Kabiam.
Yeah, how are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well. Thanks so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
How is Cape Town treating you?
Cape Town's great. South Africa overall, the Republic is awesome. I mean, the amount of diversity, not just in ecology, but peoples and cultures and languages, things to do. It's very humbling to be back a second time.
Oh, the second time you've been here?
Oh, yeah. I was here 10 years ago as well. You know, I was riding around, doing road trips, enjoying as much as I could. But
hopefully you're going to come back for the third time.
Absolutely. We'll see. If I have enough rand in my pocket, then I'll definitely be back.
Can you please tell us about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Deputy Director at the Consumer Choice Center. So we're a consumer advocacy group, think tank. With some friends of mine in the very beginning, we were very much in favor of new technologies, things like Uber, things like social media. And we saw that there were a lot of people who were very against those technologies, and nobody was standing up for consumers who actually like innovation, who like choice, who like cool and fun things, and don't understand regulatory systems and governments enough to figure out that they actually have a voice. So we kind of launched our group. I'm a former journalist, guilty. And that was my industry before. I was involved in information, disseminating information, understanding legislation, and I figured I might as well use my powers for good and do it on behalf of consumers who want to have choice. Yeah.
Can you provide us with an overview of the goals and the objectives of the center?
It's pretty simple. Every time there's a new ban or regulation or rule that a government proposes, what we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to analyze it, and we're going to provide our analysis and try to mobilize consumers either for it or against it. Really depends, right? There's all kinds of areas where some government regulation probably goes too far, takes away our choice as consumers in the marketplace. Sometimes it's good policy that we actually like, that's getting rid of regulatory barriers, that's lowering tax, that's increasing competition. So it's things that we like. Again, it's going to depend on what the policy is, but my colleagues and I, we've been doing this globally. Every single local context matters, and you can kind of see that a lot of these ideas are very contagious, and we can see that innovation is contagious too. And that's, I think, the coolest part of what I do, is that I can advocate for all the fun stuff that I like, knowing that it's backed by science, knowing that there's all types of competition and benefits that come with basically consumers being able to buy the things that they want and not having governments and states telling them that they can't.
As we are attending the conference for Technovation Smoke Free, I think we need to touch on it as well.
Sure.
What are the key trends or patterns that you have observed in the recent years regarding consumer attitudes towards smoking and smoke-free?
Yeah, it's crazy. When I was growing up, obviously we had all the programs in school, right? Don't smoke, don't even start, this and that. And that was sort of the solution. It was very binary, right? It was like, smoke, don't smoke. That was it. And it really wasn't until, I started about university that you had other options. You had vape devices that came up all of a sudden. You had snus that was available that people could use. So actually people were doing all of those behaviors, engaging in risky behaviors as young people do, because they wanted to have the nicotine. And it really wasn't until these alternative products came up, mostly out of small companies and innovators, that all this stuff was available. And what we've seen now over the last, you can say 10, 15 years is that the market is it's just crazy how much is out there, the choices that someone has, and ways that they've actually removed most of the harm from all of this stuff so that people can actually ingest nicotine without burning anything, without ingesting anything, and actually use those products, whatever it be, vaping devices, heaters, pouches, snus. They can use all of that and not have anywhere near the harm as traditional smoking. So I think it's a great transition. And again, it's not a solution that's been thought up in the Department of Office. It came from the marketplace. It came from entrepreneurs and innovators developing products and the consumers moving towards them and wanting to use it. So you've actually seen places like Sweden, places like the US, you've seen smoking rates crumble. We're talking under 10%, sometimes under 5% of the population that smokes. That could not have been done without nicotine alternatives to make it happen.
Are consumers good decision makers?
It's a good question. I'm asked that a lot here in South Africa. I trust the consumer. I really do, because you as a consumer just think of when you buy and sell goods, right? You go to the grocery store and you buy certain products, that one might be a bit more expensive, but it's more to my liking. Or this one, I'm not sure, but I know the brand, I've heard the marketing, I understand the difference between this laundry detergent and that laundry detergent. So we're all dealing with trade-offs, with different information, and I think we do the best that we can as consumers. What I think I don't like is when a lot of information is restricted, right? So you can't understand the difference between certain products because you can't have advertising. And I think that is a scope where we have to constantly improve. Are consumers the best decision makers? Probably not, depending on your context or my context, but for their context, their family, their life, absolutely they're the best determinant of it. And I think many governments have to also understand that consumers have their own preferences. They may not be that of someone who's the charge of the health regulatory body, but that's fine. We did not create governments to make the best decision for everyone all of the time. We did it so that people would be free to choose how they want to live their lives.
So what do you think about the social media or the media? Can they be influential so that government can change some policies?
Yeah, somewhat. I think social media, very influential, but so are peer networks. So are your buddies. So are people that you meet. So are people in your social circles. And we're obviously going to be informed by traditional media or social media. It's really going to depend. I mean, a lot of people like podcasting, great technology, because it's more personal and it's conversations. We don't have to do this in 2-minute clips. We're able to talk about ideas and learn from them and extrapolate information from that. I think when it comes to any of these policy things, alternative media especially has a role, because you have to be incredibly responsive to your audience. If your audience, you put up a video, put some information out there and your audience absolutely hates it, they downrank you, they don't want to watch it, you get harmed, right? So you need to provide the best quality information that you can. And if we can do that along with good policies that respect consumers and give them choice, then the media can have an incredibly positive role. At the same time, you can have a very bad role. If we go back to South Africa, we think of during COVID, the prohibition on alcohol and tobacco. The way that it was sold was, we're helping people, we have less people in the hospital, but everything's a trade-off, right? Sure, people were not able to buy this legally in the store, but you could get it. Everybody knew someone that could get some kind of alcohol product, some tobacco product, whatever it might be, because markets exist, illicit or illicit. People want those products and they'll get them. And by making that stuff illegal, by reconducting prohibition, which we know is a failed experiment from 100 years ago, doing that again, we just introduce yet more danger that didn't have to exist. Good South African example I wanted to use there.
What challenges are consumers facing when it comes to making decisions?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is Information overload is certainly one. We hear all kinds of different information opposing, and people who have different interests who want to push us in a certain direction. And we have different choices when it comes to the smartphone that we want or apps, and we learn the best. But we have peer pressure, peer circles. For people who have iPhones, there's also this phenomenon known as the blue bubble, right? If you have the blue bubble when you contact someone using iMessage on iPhone, he's another iPhone user, right? But you don't have that if you use an Android. So you have information about the differences between the two or what people want. I think there we just need to have way more open and free ecosystems. And that includes media, includes people being able to converse online and social media. Because the more that we can actually get that information out, people can talk about it, they can make the best decision for themselves. Because again, I don't want to make that decision for a consumer. You don't want to make that decision. We shouldn't want the decisions to be made by others just because they happen to be powerful or rich or have all the information and knowledge in the world. It's up to us.
Okay. Can you share any specific initiatives that you are busy with or program that's aiming to educate consumers so that they will be able to identify the benefits or the risks?
I think one big one, my colleagues did a protest in the Netherlands, and it was interesting because it was about ice cream flavors. You'll see where I'm going with this. So you kind of offer, and you have a little ice cream cart, and people can come up and select what they can eat. And, you have, let's say, 10 different types of ice cream, and people start to taste, and they're, well, what is this? There's no flavor. Like, well, of course not. We've determined that if there's more flavors of the ice cream, you're just going to eat more. And it's going to be bad for your stomach, it'll be bad for your weight. And it was a way to talk about different vaping flavors, which in the Netherlands, they're banning. So you have, lime and menthol and mint and all these different types that people use to transition away from smoking. People will use different vapes. And many people come up with the arguments, it's like, well, adults don't like flavors. Adults don't like things that taste good. So we showed them with the ice cream that actually, we as adults, we like that stuff. We like to have choice between different flavors. It's not just, because it's going to attract people who are underage. Everybody likes flavors. And it's a thing that we just kind of have to recognize. And that's a specific fight that happened in the Netherlands. But again, the battle over, let's say, vaping flavors or flavors on nicotine pouches, all this stuff, it's kind of happening globally. This idea that we need to restrict it so that we don't appeal to youth. Meanwhile, all of these adults who would have used your products don't have that choice because they'll never be able to. And they're not going to like it. Nobody wants to have just tobacco-flavored X or Y, right? They want to have the things that actually taste good, and that can get them to stop smoking tomorrow.
So this idea of using an ice cream is a very good one, eh?
Yeah?
So that they
not
can
bad.
choose what they want.
I didn't have the full idea. That came from my colleagues, but yeah.
Yeah, the last question, it goes back to the consumer feedback. How is it helpful to you guys to get the feedback from the consumer so that you can develop some marketing strategies for new products?
Yeah, I think it comes a lot to ideas and campaigns. I mean, we do a lot of stuff related to technology, access to social media, harm reduction, but also energy. There's a lot of places where consumers are actually deprived of better, smarter policies, and we think it's for our own good. Like South Africa and electricity generation is like a big topic, right? Where's all the energy coming from? Electricity, exportations, taxes. Is it going to be coal or natural gas? Do we still trust nuclear? Maybe not. Like that's a kind of area to where I think consumers should be loud about it because it impacts how much they pay when they're trying to heat their house, how much it's going to cost to run the air conditioner. Like these are the kind of things that are always happening, and it's based on decisions that we make every day as consumers, paying our bill, using a different provider, and understanding the technologies behind it. So I think that is one. Another one is just, when you go out, let's say a normal Saturday, and you go out with friends and family, what are the rules and regulations that restrict your choice from the time that you wake up until the time you go to bed? So think of the restaurants. What time are restaurants open or closed? Is that determined by the government? If you're buying a product, or there are certain things that are not available on the shelves because of some government rule. Is it, you go online and log in to try to use something and it says, not available in your country. You know, that's the kind of stuff to where people have these frustrations all the time. They don't know necessarily how to articulate them or how to even fight against it, because you think, I'm just one voice, I'm just one consumer. But if you actually bound together, you find other people, you can build grassroots networks of people who are upset. And that's why social media allows that, right? If a company does something and it's pretty stupid and dumb, you have the ability to go on X and be like, hey, what are you doing? This is terrible. What are you? People do that with airlines all the time, right? It's like, oh, you lost my bag or my flight's delayed. You have that ability now with social media, with other consumers to organize and to oppose things if you want. And I think more people should be encouraged to do that.
Gabiam, thanks a lot.
Gabiam, thank you so much for having me.
Hopefully when you come back to South Africa, we'll have a whole hour of this podcast.
Very good. Well, hey,
there are a lot of things.
Very good. Well, hey, we can do it on Zoom. You know, we can set up a thing in Ken, and we can talk Bitcoin for the next 2 hours too, if you want. Maybe next time.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Buhle Binta.
Hi Veron, njani?
Ngisho kahle?
Ewe, Buhle Binta.
Africa podcast yomphakathi. Ngiyajabula ukuthi ngibe nawe sesivala i-conference. I've got an opportunity. I'm honored to talk with a scientist.
Inkosi, ngiyabonga now. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, scientists at Philip Morris. It's not a scientist, not just the only one. Almost 1,500 of them.
Can you give us a little bit of your background before we start with the questions here?
Okay, my background. Yes. Okay, so hi to you, hi to your audience. Ngiyabonisa nonke, Buhle Binta, a scientist like you said. Ndifunde microbiology as an undergraduate degree, BSc. And I went on to do a master's in medical science, all at University of the Witwatersrand a couple of years back. And so that's me as a scientist, right? And after that, the Sebenza NHLS, National Health Laboratory Service. And that I was working on occupational health in the space of TB diagnosis, TB prevention, and so forth. So I'm getting to something with this just about again how I got to Upper Koyangogo. And then from then on, I joined the Department of Health, it's a Pitoli, and it was the MCC, Medicines Control Council at the time. And as I was already there, I joined as a project coordinator, Dakupuka in the ranks. It became SAPRA. SAPRA is the Health Products Regulatory Authority, South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. Situme around the time of COVID, they were the ones that regulate medicines, health products, to ensure that before a health product goes out to the public, it is actually checked, reviewed, evaluated, and then verified that it's approved it's approved for the public, for public consumption. So that was SAPRA. So in my role, in all my roles, as I've touched on, it's a population level, it's public health, it's the health on people. From NHLS, TB studies was about preventing transmission of TB. And then even at SAPRA, my role again is ensuring that our population in South Africa has the access to amayeza, imiti, medicines, or different health products, medical devices, complementary medicines, so all sort of that, but they need to be safe for human consumption, basically. That was my role. So before then, that was my life then. Then I got the opportunity to join Philip Morris International. which is a tobacco company. They've been selling e-cigarettes for years, and Bati, at the time they were interviewing me, that they are embarking on a journey to a smoke-free future, a future without cigarettes. That's what they see. And they need scientists, they need different people to come in and play the role and have an impact on this. I took the role because I spent time analyzing their science. I didn't just analyze their science, I analyzed the science that was given by other public health bodies in other countries. So, for example, EU's Food and Drug Administration, I was familiar with it already because Ben Sebenza is SAPRA, but they do a similar role. And you're smiling, so you see the connection. So if the US FDA can come out and say that something is for the benefit of the population as a whole, and this is what they've said about e-devices, Zalapa, Philip Morris. So then this and other independent bodies, after scrutinizing their science, scrutinizing our science at PMI, I then took on this role. And my role is the head of scientific engagement for Sub-Saharan Africa. So responsible for South Africa and the rest of Sub-Saharan Africa, apart from the West African countries. So that's me, and that's my journey to here.
So now you're working at the Philip Morris. So ungakwazi ukuthi usitshele ukuthi ama roles akho ukuze kube ne launch when it comes to South Africa to develop the product ukuthi ikwazi ukuthi South Africa ibe khona. What were your roles?
So various people play a role to have a launching of a product, right? So just to take you a step back, a product is created, there's a product design, there's research into this product. I mean, as a Philip Morris, we've invested over 12 billion USD in this product, in the research of these products, right? Once you've assessed scientifically these products, going through various steps about aerosol chemistry studies to ensure that these products don't combust, they produce, the aerosols produce less chemicals or toxicants that are harmful to umuntu when they consume them, and clinical studies, various studies. And then you are satisfied with the product. From then on, your next step is to ensure that now the product can go into different markets, right? And that decision is taken by various people, including your commercial people. First of all, is there a smoking prevalence in this country? South Africa, there is 11 million people currently smoke. It's a big number. It's a big number. So we need to do something about that. We need to just do something about that. So we need to ensure these users or smokers have access to these products. Now we come in, commercial team says yes, we can make sure that the products can be sold. A regulatory team, a government team that works with the regulations, they come in and look at the scope of the regulations within that country. Does it allow you to have the product within the country? Because if it's a banned product, then you cannot bring the product into the country. So is the regulation conducive for that? And then our part again, as a scientist, so it's a scientist will play a role in product design and creation, assessments of the product, ensuring that they're less harmful, and then also on the ground, then can there be uptake for this population? So that's why you have me currently in South Africa, who's a South African, who can say no, there is a role that this product can play for our population to impact public health year two as abantu basemzansi.
There was a line there. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it's a slogan or what, but you're using it in the podium, saying smoke-free is far much better than cigarettes. Yes, definitely. So it's far much better because it's cigarettes, and I'm going to just be very illustrative. Umuntu mayizobhema, thatha cigarette, thatha matches or a lighter, lighter, and it kuyachisa. You see smoke coming out. Now in that smoke, there's thousands of, I would say, chemicals. We have other terms, chemicals or toxicants. These thousands of chemicals, 100 of them are linked to smoking-related diseases. So those ones, about 100 of them cause smoking-related disease. We are sure of that, and public health bodies have assessed that, right? So
what we've done, because we recognize the problem, there's combustion or burning, we eliminated combustion, we eliminated burning. So hence the term smoke-free. So elimination of burning, or you heating up the product, and then there's no air smoke, but there's an aerosol. And the reason there's an aerosol in the corner is because abantu wanted that, if you've been smoking for many years, and we try to bamba so a cigarette, and then now blow out, you're used to seeing the smoke. You want that ritual, and so similar, we made sure that these products can create that aerosol for abantu. But the difference, because there's no combustion, those chemicals when Kulmangaza say smoking, they are much less. And that's why we're saying that smoke-free products are better than cigarettes, because they are less harmful alternative for umdala of unubem. Entirely for adults who'd rather continue smoking, not for izingane, not for umntu osokwaziluye kubhema, not for umntu ongabhemiyo, yabona, only for those who decide, you know what, ndifuna uqhubeka ndibhema, but rather use something that's less harmful, and it speaks to the context of harm reduction. It's like if umntu ozothi no, ndifuna talk about sex, harm reduction is there in sex as well. You can't stop people from having sex. You cannot say hi, and you cannot be the woman who said hi Veron, hi. You can't. But what you can do is educate people, create awareness. This is what's happening. This is the repercussions of it. And if you do engage and you want to engage in sex, use a condom. If something happens, I think government is giving PrEP now, something, if you are raped or something along those lines, So, but again, it's just introducing a context here, harm reduction in the space of about ARV, and it's there even in tobacco harm reduction. If you cannot say, hi, an adult has a choice to make, right? And if they choose to, then you can just educate them and tell them, rather use something that's less harmful to your health than using something that's most harmful, which is a cigarette. Smoke-free products are less harmful. That is the key thing.
Yes, obukhuluma sengiyakhumbula futhi okunye futhi okushini.
No, I'm happy about that. I'm happy. It means I made an impact. Good.
You said nicotine does not cause cancer.
Yes.
That's what's new to me. I think
it's true. Yeah, it's true what I said. Nicotine does not cancer. To explain. Okay, let me explain. So, for many years, in nicotine, the only way to get nicotine was when a person smokes, right? Tobacco. And just to explain also, nicotine comes from tobacco, the tobacco plant. So it's coming from there, and the only way for many years was that you get nicotine by smoking tobacco. So there's always been this misconception because of association of the two, right? But now, with technological advancements and so forth, we now know, science has shown that nicotine is not cancer-causing. And this is not just said by us, it's said by public health bodies, about US FDA, about World Health Organization. They don't even list in nicotine. So they've got this list where they list cancer-causing agents. It's called the International Agency on Research on Cancer. It's a part of the WHO, of the World Health Organization. Nicotine is not listed there. They've got all the cancer-causing agents. So I see it, you see, that say that. So if it's not there, it's not causing cancer. So we now know that nicotine doesn't cause cancer, and that smokers smoke for the nicotine, because in nicotine is addictive. It's addictive. However, we've made sure that a person can still get nicotine, right? But we eliminate the burning part. So smoke-free product, you get the satisfaction. And in nicotine, by the way, just to also educate your users, a lot of users don't stop. Even others who already even have about TB, they have so many things, they don't stop. They still they continue smoking, because it's not easy to. It's not an easy addiction to quit, right? So what then they will do is prescribe sometimes about nicotine replacement therapies, but people don't always adhere to that. And there's even research that shows that 1 in 10 people are actually able to successfully quit smoking. So what about the other 9? You see, so we cannot leave them by cigarette. We can't do that. So this is where we have a role, Tina, as a company, to make sure we introduce something, we disrupt our own model, we introduce something that's less harmful to Abantu. We recognize that cigarettes are harmful, so we are changing and we're disrupting that. So, but then it's not just us. I mean, we can have the product, right? But people need to have access to the product.
Exactly.
That's the important thing. People need to know about the product, you know. People need to want to switch to the product. Because if I create something, but I come to a then what is the point of that? So it needs to be appealing to those who are already currently smoking. Not for Ababanga Pemi, but for those who are already currently smoking.
Oh, for those who are currently smoking.
Only for those who are currently smoking.
Because this is a safe violence. I'm arranging now type of products that you provide. Maybe it's very important for Abantu Bitsibas. What are the products? The
different types. Okay. So it's a variety of products, right? And we've got, I'll group them, what we call inhalable products. Inhalable AZ, where you can inhale I don't know what is the inhale in vernac, but you can inhale, right? And of this group, it's beyond me. So it's beyond me. So out of the inhalable products, we've got a heated tobacco product, right, which is IQOS. So IQOS heats tobacco. You've got a device, it's an electronic device that's got a temperature regulating mechanism that heats the tobacco, doesn't burn the tobacco. And it generates a nicotine containing aerosol for the user. The user still gets satisfaction. So IQOS available widely in South Africa. And in Mpumalanga, KZN, even if you're Eastern Cape, it's available. And then you've got e-cigarettes or e-vapor, also an electronic product. And this one, the difference is that it contains liquid nicotine, which is also heated up, right? And then the user is able to take a puff, and then an aerosol is generated. But nonetheless, when they take a puff, the nicotine is inhaled and it gives them satisfaction. So those are the inhalables, right? And then we've got your oral smokeless. Oral smokeless are your products that you put into the mouth. So there's no inhalation whatsoever. Tata, ifake mlomeni between your gum and amazinho. It sits there for about 30 minutes, and that product contains nicotine in like a pouch format. Like a pouch format. So a tea bag, something like that, but very small. It's not even bigger than my pinky, this part of my pinky. And it can sit here. And when it's sitting here inside, it releases the nicotine for the user. And there's a good uptake of this one because we've got this history. I think I did say that where abogogo bethu would take sometimes ugogo efaka apha ensinini wafaka athi, sometimes abanye bafaka phansi kolwimi. Different ways of using it, but so we are seeing a good uptake of that. But I think what's key again is that it's less harmful than ubema, a cigarette, 1, and 2 is that it's only for those who are already smoking, so not for someone who's not smoking.
What are your parting words to the viewers?
My parting words to your viewers is that I think we all have a role to play as within South Africa to ensure that, 1, smokers have access, to ensure that we accelerate the decline in smoking prevalence. 11 million people is a lot of people. It's a huge, huge number. So we all have a role to play on that. And also, even the regulators, our government, needs to ensure that they put in a regulation and recognize it. But as the product as the fun. It's science corner. Science it's science from other government bodies as well. New Zealand, Sweden, US, I mean, I can name them many, many countries. So let's look at what those countries are doing to ensure that their smoking populations are low. Singasali behind. I think that is my parting words. But for users, for normal users, consumers, these products are there. They're less harmful to your health versus a cigarette. So I would encourage those abangakwazi ukwita and who want to rather continue smoking, rather baswitche to as the product. That's my parting word. You're welcome, and also for having me as well. It was lovely, basikhulume. Danko, Putu.
Khuzwayo, ninjani?
Sikhona njani futhi?
Ngijabula kakhulu ukuthi host you kwi-Made in Africa podcast yomphakathi. It's so honored to have you. Kule 15 minutes nyana wethu. Can you give us a little bit of background there so that the viewers will know who we're talking about?
Oh, ngiyabonga, and I'm happy to be here. Igama lami uRussell Khuzwayo. I work for Philip Morris International, like South Africa. I'm the commercial director. I've been with the company for almost 11 years now. So as we evolve with the technologies that we discussed today on traditional cigarettes versus the smoke-free alternatives that we are commercializing in South Africa, I've been part of that journey. So I've been in the company throughout the different categories. Kuna cigarettes, Marlboro, Chesterfield. I'm not sure if you know the other tobacco product, the PP, Nepoxa, Netexi, Snuff, that's also ours. And of course the new technologies now, like the IQOS, the heat not burn technology, Nezin, nicotine pouches that we spoke about today. So throughout this journey, I've been in the organization as we evolve and give consumers alternatives, better alternatives. I've been in that journey, so it's been a good journey so far.
Yeah, namse ngifundele ukukhulu, learn a lot kwi conference esukela namhlanje. There's and to our guests as well. There's sifundo okuningi. So right now let's get straight to the marketing.
Yeah,
because that's your field, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you market the product to the potential users so that they will know about the product?
Look, in South Africa, as you know or might not know, tobacco industry is highly regulated. So we have restricted marketing freedoms versus what other FMCG companies can do. However, there's ways that we market our products, through a point of sale, as you see if you go to my channels like ISPA or Pick and Pay. So we can obviously have some level of communication at the point of sale. And of course, we can't just freely advertise, as you know, because tobacco is highly regulated. We've got marketing freedoms in other categories. For example, Ukwayi, Marlboro and Chesterfield, there's no advertising, it's restricted. The IQOS, highly restricted. But with this Zin, new category, there's no restrictions for now. However, we market responsibly. So how do we then get to the consumers? How do consumers know about it? We obviously do a lot of engagements with our retailers, your ShopRite checkers, your spas, your tobacconists, spaza shops, elokishini that you might know, cash and carries, and then we work through those just to educate potential consumers with our products. I think Ukwayi has been here for a very long time. You know it. Snuff, you know it. Texas Snuff, you know it. The PP, Nepox, you know it. But the alternatives that are better alternative to than continued smoking, people don't know about them because they heavily, reduce the risk of smoking because for there's no combustion. Inte ebanga health diseases related to smoking is from combustion. So mulai tukwai into tule pumayo. All these chemicals that are harmful is that's derived from the tobacco-related diseases. Because la bonili IQOS, heat not burn, there's no combustion. You're heating the tobacco, so this significantly reduces the harmful chemicals compared to smoking a cigarette. Izin lengi pete manje, it's a nicotine pouch. There's no tobacco, but there's nicotine. Smokers are craving nicotine. Which obviously significantly reduces the level of harmful chemicals versus smoking. However, because there's limited marketing freedoms, you cannot communicate. Smokers do not know. We are very clear. If you smoke, you need to quit. But if you can't quit, if you do smoke, you must stop. But if you can't quit, then you need to move to better alternatives than continued smoking, because there's better alternatives that heavily reduces the risk of smoking. So we've invested, over $14 billion in R&D. We've got scientists, over 1,400 scientists in Neuchâtel in Switzerland. So we're always continuously looking at innovation. Today, WHO tells us there's over 1 billion smokers across the globe. they'll tell you estimation there'll still be 1 billion smokers across the globe. So we're saying if they can't stop smoking, they must move to these better alternatives, you know. And as we innovate, like we have IQOS, and we've been obviously since 2017 being the first version. Now we've got the latest version called Illuma, and it evolves with technology, like I was explaining to earlier. And now we've got Zyn, which is obviously the nicotine pouch that you put up between your gum and your lip. It releases nicotine, and the flavors that you want. So it's for the moments when you're on the plane. I'm sure you guys flew from KZN to here, Cape Town. The 2 hours when you're craving nicotine, Zyn is for that moment. You put it up between your gum and your lip, and it releases the nicotine and the flavor. So there's other categories on smoke-free. Also, we're continuously evolving. And we're offering our consumers what they need. However, because of restrictions on communication, we are limited in what we can do. We're working with the government, civil society, the media yourselves to say, can you educate smokers that are struggling but to want to continue to smoke, to give them better alternatives?
So how do you ensure that you comply with the regulations while you're doing your marketing, because we are very restricted when it comes to?
I think the one thing that we do well within PMI, we comply with regulations. Our marketing efforts are responsible. We have marketing responsibility in commercializing and marketing our product in a responsible way. One, the labeling, how our product look and feel are intended for adult users, and we make sure that they're marketed in a responsible way. We also don't produce products that are intended for the youth. We ensure that they're not intended for youth. The product that we obviously produce are intended for adult users that wish to continue to consume nicotine. Number two, we work with our trade partners, either your tobacconists or SPA or other trade partners that resell our product, to make sure that they are marketed responsibly to the intended users. Number three, we are obviously working with the government to regulate these products, so that we don't have, like today, illicit trade is over 50% of the market. All other categories that are not scientifically proven, we want to make sure that there's regulations, so that there's marketing restrictions, and these products are marketed in a responsible way. And we're the leaders of that, and we make sure that it's for the intended consumers.
So, what channels do you use for sales, so that to support the retailers, the distributors of your products? How do you support them?
So there's different channels depending on where you are, and we make sure there's availability, accessibility of our product in the consumer journey. So and different categories have different restrictions. For cigarettes, PP, Nepox that I spoke to you about, is now. There's many restrictions. However, they're available at a cash and carry. They're available at a SPA. They're available at a spaza shop where maybe you stay. At the commuter hub, sometimes you see them in certain hawker tables, etc. in the consumer journey. Other products like Zyn, they've got different they've got different restrictions, so we can't be across the omni-channel in e-commerce. So today in 6060 you can purchase Zyn. Today with Zyn you can purchase 6060. We've got other channels, our own brand retail spaces, where you can find Zyn or IQOS, our smoke-free product, within our own channels. We work with trade partners, tobacconists and others that redistribute our product with an extension. So they're widely accessible in a consumer journey. So we make sure that there's programs that we work with trade partners to make sure that products are accessible, available, and at the right price, so consumers are able to then have these products when they want to consume them.
So what kind of customer support do you offer, like hotlines, or if I want to get in touch with you guys?
So we have a call center. So if I give you an example, you know, our heat not burn category, because it works with the device and consumables. We take time during the guided trial to explain what this is versus what it's not, right? Because it's heat not burn, it's not smoking a cigarette, it's not smoking, it's heating. And you need to explain that you need to use a device. And of course, because it's a device, like any other devices like you have in your home or the other gadgets you have, they sometimes break and they've got a lifespan, and you need technical support. So we have a call center that you call. If you have a faulty device or your device not working, we have reverse logistics where we can troubleshoot. If we need to replace it, we will replace it. And of course, we support you in the journey. Even if you're starting with us, there's a call center agent who will call you that, you know, you started your journey. When you have issues, this is the number you call. So we have reverse logistics and a call center to support consumers as they move from traditional smoking to smoke-free alternatives.
Do you have any innovation coming up?
Like any other company, I think we will continue to innovate. Like I think I mentioned in the beginning, you know, we launched IQOS in 2017 with the first version of IQOS. We have, during the years, we've got other versions of IQOS, and we continue to improve. The latest version, IQOS Illuma, you know, gives consumers a better conversion, lower abandonment rates, and we've solving consumer. Before, the old technology uses blade, where you need to clean the device, etc. Now we bring in new technology, induction technology, you know, there's no need for cleaning. It solves a consumer pain point, better consumer experience. So we will continue to innovate. In the beginning, if you remember, I said we've invested over $14 billion, scientists, R&D, facility, to always look at. I mean, I'm sure you've got a car. There's better versions every year, better technology with everything. So because we're in that space, we'll continue to offer consumers, you know, better products based on their needs. Even with Zyn, we'll continue to bring in flavors for adult consumers, innovation that gives you a better experience, etc. We are committed to give consumers what they're looking for in order for them to have a flavorful nicotine experience.
So what can be your parting words to the viewers? I think
for me to the viewers, we have traditional cigarettes and the traditional box and taxi. For the viewers, for especially the adult nicotine users that use cigarettes, that wish to continue to use nicotine, there are better alternatives. And I think it's you know, it's only fair that, you know, they understand what they are and we educate them. They need to understand that there are better alternatives than continued smoking. So wherever you are within the country, we've got these outlets where we do have these alternatives, and you can find out more versus continued smoking. So lastly, in parting shot, if you don't smoke, don't start. If you do, you must stop or you must quit. If you can't quit, then you need to look for these better alternatives.
Thank you.
Bonga mena futhi.